I made a video the other day saying there was a subject which I can't talk about, and yet it's vital that we do talk about it because the stuff is going on. Well, it seems I can talk about it because everyone is talking about it. And it's sparked off by that film, Sound of Freedom, the story of children being trafficked for sexual and depraved purposes. And this is something that actually many people have known that is going on, and it has been going on for a very long time. And yet we've dared not talk about it because it's so horrific and so disgusting and so awful that our children across the world in huge numbers are being trafficked and being dealt with in such an abhorrent and revolting way. Torture and sexual pleasure and organs being sought from these children and sold, used effectively as some form of currency. And we have to talk about this because it's everywhere. And I'm not talking just about those terrible people who have a bent for children on a sexual whim within families, you know, the kiddie fiddlers. That is bad enough and is horrible and nasty and depraved. And those people that do that, of course, should be locked away, dealt with within the law of the land. But this scale of this trafficking of children goes well beyond that. And this is the thing that is extremely worrying, because it seems from the conversations now that are emerging as a result of this film, the cry for free, the Sound of Freedom, that these children are being trafficked for sexual pleasure and for body parts and stuff by huge organizations held up by elites, people that possibly names that we know, names behind governments, names within think tanks, unelected and supposedly unaccountable people, billionaires whose names may well be on the tip of our tongues, that I couldn't possibly hear say them, but they may well be connected to it. And as this terrible and horrific crime, for that is actually what it is, a horrific crime that must be called out, as this now is slowly being revealed and the names are coming forward and the practices are coming forward, we must regale against it. We must say, not my child. You will not get hold of my child and do what you're doing. Some of this stuff is so awful, including sacrifices, children being taken for satanic purposes. And this seems to be what is happening across the world by people who, it seems, have been pushing measures, not just on these children, but on us in lots of other different ways, pushing us into ghettos, making us ill, making us fearful, inventing diseases that have had us locked down. The people behind all of this seem to be these shadowy people, not so shadowy if you go looking, and you realize that these are the same people who are pushing us into a top-down, one government style world. And it's time that we called it out. It's time that we said, no, not my child, no child should ever go through this, that this rotten, depraved and nasty satanic evil has to stop. And we must talk about it at every point. I know it's a difficult and hard subject, but we've got to address it, because there are people in this world who would like to see our children in this terrible and awful state, and that they are after them. And we can't have that in a positive, healthy and wonderful beautiful, loving world that we want. We cannot have our children go missing and our children being tortured in this depraved and nasty way. And whoever is doing it will have to stop and be accountable and have to serve time for their horrible deeds. And the whole world needs to wake up to this terrible crisis, because I believe that if we can wake up and say and call this out for what it is, and it is horrific and despicable, if we can call it out, and those people who are doing it, those people who think that they are safe because they have blackmailed others, that they have lower down the chain got photographs of people with children so that they won't whistleblow. But I think its time is too late, and that people will start talking about what they know, and that the whole system, as a result of this, will start tumbling down. And I can tell you, it's about bloody time.